Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command, World War II, World at War. It is February of 1943, we are playing as the Axis, and in our game we are closing in on the Russian city of Grozny in the south near the Caucasus. We are advancing sort of indirectly on Sevastopol and Kerch, the Soviet forces there. We've just destroyed several Soviet units south of Stalingrad and are trying to keep the pressure up there so we can try and cut off the Caucasus from the rest of the Russian forces, and we are also on the doorstep to Moscow, while also potentially opening up the door to the Russian alternative capital at Kubinezhev. The Soviets are getting stronger by turn. They're about 10 units stronger than they were just a couple of turns ago, and that is putting us at a bit of a risk of being overwhelmed by the Soviets. So far, we're hanging in there, but it's just a matter of time, it feels like. We really need to take Moscow, and then we really need to drive on the alternate capitals and try and win the war there. To me, it seems like Kazan and Ulyanovsk are two key cities. If we can take both of these, then the Soviets are going to have to take the outside track to Perm and also to Kubinezhev, and we may be able to take those cities at a little bit more leisurely pace, hopefully as they fall back from Moscow after the fall. But it is the winter of 1943, and therefore we're really not moving anywhere fast. We have pulled a headquarters unit out from Riga toward the Moscow front to try and get some of these units that are out of supply into supply in a little bit better shape. On the North African front, we've taken Cairo. We're driving toward Jerusalem. But in the western area, the Americans have taken Algiers, and the question is whether they're ready to, try and drive for Italy, which is basically unguarded, as well as the whole southern portion of the German Reich, or if, they'll try and take Libya first. We'd be much better off if they tried to take Libya first. We're trying to raise forces west. We really don't have sufficient forces to deal with the Americans, but we've got a little bit more time because the Americans have to move through this desert. Since Tunis is not yet at war with the Americans, it really isolates the American forces unless they remount their transports and swing around and land on the coast of Tunisia, which I didn't think about until I just said that right now. That would be problematic. Anyway, that's the situation in North Africa. In the Pacific, we've just taken the Dutch East Indies. They surrendered last turn, and we just took Singapore this turn. So hopefully the morale of the British starts to turn against the war as a result of the loss of Singapore. Meanwhile, in China, the British Indian forces are driving into China, trying to influence the conflict there. Fortunately, their supply situation is a little bit dicey, so I'm hoping that prevents them from really moving too far at all. And in the center of China, we're really trying to drive on the Chinese capital, both in the north and in the center, at Langkao. We've already taken Changsha, but we're trying to take Langkao. I know I've played this game about 3 or 4 days in a row. I've got a couple other things on the docket that I keep mentioning that I would like to do, but I just haven't gotten around to them, and I do enjoy this game, and it seems like a lot of you do enjoy the game as well, so that's why we're continuing to pursue this game in lieu of some other things at the moment. Indian nationalist leader Subhas Chandra Bose is asking for permission to support or raise an Indian national army among his Indian deserters and prisoners of war captured in Malaya. Bose argues that if we capture Mandalay, then our successes could trigger civil unrest in India. Equipping the Indian national army will cost us 80 MPPs at 20 per turn for 4 turns. Do you authorize the funding and the formation of an Indian national army? There's no additional... gladly. So Malaya surrenders. Japan plunders 62 MPPs. The Japanese have offered us, with use of one of their obsolete naval bases at Penang and in Malaya, we could use this to supply U-boats operating in the Indian Ocean. The Kriegsmarine would like to send some Mosin boats there to disrupt the Allied convoys, and they state that the cost of refitting and sending some U-boats there would be 75 MPPs for 3 turns. 25 per turn. The base will take some time to be refitted, though it should be ready by the time the U-boats arrive. Would you like to invest in the Penang naval base? Assuming that we actually get the naval forces there. Yeah. Okay. Difficulties are encountered in refitting the Penang naval base. So is that just like a random occurrence? I'm not sure how that works. Meanwhile, the 11th Indian Army is forward in India. Garrison unit deploys at Singapore. Access hinders supply on Crete. Foreign minister reports success in Argentina. 5%. I think they're like 1% away from declaring war. The fall of Singapore, Allied stronghold surrenders to Japan. And there you go. I'm hoping the Japanese economy really starts to take off with the fall of the Dutch East Indies, but I haven't really seen it yet. It's a little bit concerning. I was hoping Japan's MPPs would get over 300. I know they're losing a lot of income from convoy raiding, though, so perhaps that's the reason. We do need to refit our Japanese Navy. It's been really badly battered through these campaigns, and if the Americans show up in force, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, the British carrier just left Darwin and just ravaged it. Chinese in the north are falling back a little bit. The Soviets in the south near Grozny are kind of trying to position themselves to interdict our mechanized force. Meanwhile, near Vozonev, the Soviets are moving around some mechanized troops. Looks like they're shifting some troops in and around Moscow, doing some reinforcements as well. I just found out, by the way, from one of the commenters in my last videos that you can't upgrade a unit that's adjacent to an enemy hex, or an enemy unit, that is. So that's good to know. Meanwhile, Allied destroyers moving in to try and hinder the Italian submarine. The one naval unit we have left in the Mediterranean is a single Italian submarine. Last turn, the entire Italian Navy was destroyed. Thinking, waiting for the AI to move. I do appreciate this game doesn't make moves in a way that feel overwhelming so that you can't follow the action. On the flip side, it would be nice sometimes if you got a little bit more speed in the AI decision-making. You can see the Russian Air Forces really, the Allied Air Forces in general, really trying to hit at the Axis forces. There were like 3 Russian bomber units that just tried to attack. Fortunately, the Germans are... The one thing the Germans have more than they need of, probably, is interceptor aircraft. Meanwhile, this core unit here is getting attacked by literally everything the Soviets can bring to bear here near Kalin. As well as this army unit down here. This core unit may get destroyed there in the south. I'm hoping this is just the Soviet winter counteroffensive, and this isn't the level of resistance we can expect to see going forward. Meanwhile, the Soviet army in Moscow attacked and did lose 1 casualty, so that should help, hopefully, in defeating them. At least they won't gain another experience point, or another entrenchment point this turn. The Soviets in Kerch, which were down to level 1, have reinforced to level 5. I don't know if we have sufficient forces to reduce that down to 0 next turn or not, but it is important to guarding our flank in the Caucasus. They've linked up with the mechanized troops here, which had been cut off to the west of Tallinn. A lot of Soviet activity this turn. Not so much driving west as they are attacking the salients and positions that we have, and doing some select very heavy damage. Haven't destroyed a unit yet on these attacks. They've just very badly weakened 2 of our upgraded cores that are going to have to fall back for sure. Meanwhile, an attack out of Sevastopol on the Romanian army there. Doesn't do any damage to the Romanians, but it does to the Soviets. Chinese counterattack in the north. Some mutual damage there against some of our experienced troops. We're also trying to finish off the communists here. They've got a capital in Yan'an. Interesting. Soviet armor has attacks 4 times against this core. Doesn't do any damage to it in any of the attacks. Oh shit, the British just landed in northern France, or actually was it in Holland? We don't have anything to resist them there. I'm hoping this is just like a limited commando raid, something along the lines of Dieppe, the historical invasion at Dieppe, which failed miserably in 43. The problem is I've got like no forces in France to deal with it. Probably going to have to operate an army back just to deal with it. I don't even know how many of my armies in Russia are actually on rail lines that we could even operate them from. And Lord knows I don't have any naval assets to counter them with. It's interesting that army moved forward there to link up with the mechanized troops near Tallinn, but then pulled back right away on the Russian front. Soviet submarines continue to operate in the Baltic. We have nothing there for them to hurt except for our convoys with the Scandinavian countries, which they regularly ravage and basically bring down to nothing. That and the British. We'll have to take a look here in just a moment. Interestingly enough, no activity so far in North Africa. I don't know if the Americans are going to... If we're going to see some transports moving toward Italy, if they're going to move toward North Africa. I really hope the Americans don't land in Italy until they've consolidated North Africa. That would be my hope. But I really have no idea how the game decides what it needs to do there. Corps suffers attrition losses. That's interesting. I've never seen that. Indian Army formed at Singapore. Foreign Minister reports success in Saudi Arabia. Allies get a 6% swing. The Danish general election, non-Nazi party win 97% of the vote. But does that matter? We have Denmark occupied. Why? They're not... It's not like we're just going to be like, yep, Denmark, go ahead and be on your own. Like, what? How does that even work? All right, so we lost 1 corps destroyed for the German military. Where was that? Among many thousands of prisoners, we've taken a senior Red Army officer, General Vasilov, who is rapidly becoming a leading figure in promoting anti-Bolshevik message to his fellow countrymen. There's already thousands of former Red Army soldiers serving in our army, and we could make use of them. Vlasov to raise a specific Russian corps to assist in our struggle against Stalin's regime. With your approval, this full-strength corps will be deployed at Minsk for a cost of 100 MPPs at 50 per turn for 2 turns. Yeah, I'll take units. Russian Liberation Army Corps formed at Minsk from Red Army deserters. I get it right away? Nice. All right, so the Italian army. We've got a new Italian army, which I'm going to put at Naples. And then a new Italian garrison, which we're going to put at Caporazzo. So we've got some units guarding the south of Italy. Meanwhile, the British are landed at Groningen. We have nothing there to oppose them. So this new corps is going to go to Bremen. Well, fuck! I just got that garrison destroyed. Partisans will raise up in The Hague if I don't do anything about it. Shit. Well, I've got 1 unit operating west. Alright. These guys... Alright, you're going to operate there. Alright, you're going to operate here. So we've got multiple forces that are going to converge on these allied troops. Hopefully they don't swing for... They've got no supply, though. That's the thing. Alright, so I'm going to move a lot of units around here. Alright, so spending some money, but I think that's good. They don't have a port. That's the key. Without a port, they're going to struggle for supply, so we should be able to destroy them more easily. Meanwhile, these guys are going to... Shit. Alright, let's... move these guys west. Meanwhile, this army is going to move here. We'll destroy that artillery unit. Our armor will destroy this enemy air unit. Enemy contact. Shit. That was a lot of damage. Alright, that headquarter unit in our Haifa. And we'll force march this artillery over here. Alright, well, the Jerusalem army may be difficult to deal with unless we can get Syria to join us. I'd really like to finish off Palestine and then also Jordan. I mean, that kind of opens up a door into Western India. I don't think anything will come of that, but... There we go. We destroyed the Russian force at Kerch. Now the question is, do we want to actually move on Sevastopol, which is dug in heavily, level 8 entrenchment? No. The answer to that is I have no desire to go after that. Let's see here. Let's reinforce these guys. It's still winter. So that's worth remembering. Can we bomb over here? We can't. Are these guys dug in? Dug in level 2. What about these guys? Level 1. Ooh, jeez. What are they, dug in level 2? Can't hit them down there. Okay. Oh, fuck. Anti-aircraft fire against our paratroopers. Alright, so our paratroopers are trying to progress further down the Caucasus. These troops are... we can't really reinforce here. That's a nice little result there for them. Alright, we'll hold them in place. This armor will swing south, I think, next turn. I don't have any desire to attack those Soviet troops. This guy's gonna bomb these troops, and then he's gonna fly south. Hopefully. Okay. Alright, so move south to Rostov. I think we lost an army unit here, a core unit somewhere. I don't know where. Might have been the one over here to the right. Alright, so can we take Moscow this turn? Can we try and do that? Moscow entrenchment's level 1. Strat bombers will hit it now. Okay. So its entrenchment's down to 0. Now we can go ahead and bring our Stukas in. Although I honestly would rather use them against tanks. What about this strat bomber here? More interceptors? Wow, that was an effective interceptor escort. Alright, so it's entrenchment level 0. How does this guy not have the ability to move there? Like, why can't you move there? I want your army up there. I don't... Alright, let's try and Stuka him. Yes! We took Moscow! Now the question is, can we hold it? Alright, so we've got one more Stuka raid. We'll try and take out this tank, which can try and counterattack Moscow this turn. So I think that's all of our air power, at least all of our offensive air power. I don't know why this army unit can't move. I really would like to switch him in there with our armor. We're going to pivot some of our armor north, try and destroy this Soviet armored unit. There we go. Shattered it. I really wish I could move troops in here so that he couldn't get hit from 3 sides. He's going to be able to get hit from 3 sides now. Alright, so we destroyed an armored unit on the flank of Moscow. We destroyed an enemy unit in Moscow. Can we switch this? We could. Would a infantry unit in the capital be more defensible or not? That's what I don't know. Not sure what the best course of action is here. I really don't want to advance into this gap and get my troops cut off, which seems like a likely outcome. Maybe we just destroy as many Soviet units as we can around the capital. We can't attack these guys primarily because they're too dug in, I think. Ooh, nice. 0 to 3. That's an effective attack. Nice! We got another Soviet tank unit there. So moving there. These guys need to reinforce. Jesus, they must have, like, no supply or something. 5 casualties inflicted on a shock army? There you go. Soviet engineers being driven back. Okay. Alright, so unfortunately we couldn't finish that engineer unit off, but we did at least drive it back. I don't understand how some of our units are still out of supply over here. Like, how do you tell me there's not enough HQs for this air unit? There you go. There you go. Very nice. Almost destroyed this ground unit over here. Not quite, but almost. Can he finish him off? No, he can't quite reach him. Alright, this Finnish unit is going to reinforce. This cut off Soviet army unit or corps. Destroy it. Yeah! Finally, we destroyed that isolated Soviet unit. Just like that. The Finns win a little bit of a victory. Okay. This motorized unit is almost destroyed. We did some other damage around here. That's the issue, is I don't know if I'm better off switching these guys out or not. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. Alright, so let's upgrade this fighter unit. Level 3 fighter. Let's do it! These guys all flew. Alright, so I think the Moscow front, that's kind of all we're going to do. Unless, well, here's the thing is what if we... I guess at this point, rather than like drive around and do nothing, I might as well try and do as much damage as I can. So with this airborne unit, we're going to attack here. It says 3-0. It says 0-3. Got it! Nice. Okay, so we destroyed that Soviet infantry unit. This Soviet armor unit claims we can destroy it if it doesn't retreat first. Not quite. Almost. Alright. So we couldn't quite finish that guy off. I can't quite reach him either with any of my units. These Soviets are dug in. So I'm going to kind of leave that Italian unit out there on its own. Hey. Nice. 4-0. Very good. Alright, so I didn't really want to lose 4 casualties there. Apparently no one can move into this town. God damn it. So this mechanized unit's going to be vulnerable to counterattack. The Soviets may move some troops into Rezhnev as they were trying to expand the pocket, but we at least destroyed another Soviet unit there. Okay, so let's take a look at reports. What were they at? 87 last we saw? They're at 82 now, so they're a little bit weaker. If we take a look at graphs in terms of the actual monetary situation for the Soviets, if I can even find, here they are. So this is a huge loss turn-wise for MPPs for them. The main question is whether they've got sufficient force here to counterattack against us, which I think the answer is probably yes. I guess it depends. They can bring 6 units to bear against this army, so they might be able to. But I guess we'll find out. But even if I switch this, like, unit out, it's still gonna... I think my chances are better with an armored unit on defense than an infantry unit. A level 2 armored unit versus a corps. If it was an army unit, I would switch it, no doubt. Okay. All right. So that's the situation in Russia. We've kind of already addressed the situation in North Africa. It's a lot of gray. Move this up to Alexandria. I'm kind of trying to move this Italian army unit back because we've only got the one Italian army. Alright, so meanwhile we're going to the Pacific. We've got a bunch of new Japanese units near Singapore. There's no... Alright, so they moved a carrier north. So their carriers here. Looks like the Americans have fighters here. We need to reinforce. Oh, we can rebuild our ships here. Very nice. We can upgrade this battleship to level 2 with level 1 air defense. Get this guy in here. Well, in that event, we might as well use the ports that we have near us, right? We're going to keep our carriers mostly in port, but I am going to start shifting them. This guy's not in a port, that's why. To deal with the American threat that appears to be cropping up over here with American fighters as well. In New Guinea. Okay, where's this guy need to go? He's a level 4, so we need a bigger port. We can go here. Here. Okay. So I think our fleet is largely back at port and should be able to repair itself next turn. Our sub discovered the enemy, didn't do any damage to it, but at least discovered the enemy. This unit's going to reinforce. We're going to try and reinforce some of our ground units around here to get them up to strength. Meanwhile, didn't I have some ships in transit? I think these guys were going for truck. Or no. These guys were going... Yeah. Alright, let's move this guy to truck. We're not going to offload him yet. Let's move this guy. God, I hate some of these port locations. To Wake, I guess? Okay. Is that all the Japanese units in outside of China? I think it kind of is. And the guys over here. Alright, so you guys in Singapore. Put a garrison in Singapore. Force move these guys over here. I really need to get this headquarters into Burma. Give these guys a little bit more supply. Meanwhile, China is snowing. Lovely. I can't bomb anything. I was really hoping the spring was here. Oh, nice. These guys must be out of supply or something. All right. Down goes the Chinese capital. We've taken the Chinese communist capital. Huzzah! Huzzah! Chinese communist capital has fallen. Nice. Can we bomb these guys? No. Alright, so reinforce these guys. Force march these. No, it doesn't work. Okay. We will reinforce some of these units. Wow, some of these Chinese units must be really green or something, because they're not able to do much in the way of resistance. Okay. All right. We'll move. Can we operate this guy forward? No, we can't. Would really like to operate this guy forward to Chengdu, but it doesn't look like we can. Okay. Trying to do some damage to this northernmost British unit. Alright, no damage done there. So Communist China will fall. We'll fly our aircraft a little bit closer to the front, so that hopefully this weather clears in the next turn or so. And these guys are all in range of the Japanese troops to their front. Surprised these guys had so little. I guess their morale is so low. Some of these units' morale is so low they might not be very effective fighters anymore. Although their morale's pretty low too. I don't know. Alright, so I think that does it for the Chinese theater. So, yeah. Just gonna upgrade these fighters to level 3. Alright, yeah, I don't really have much else to do here. Communist China should fall this turn. We'll probably have to garrison it. Can't really force march these guys anywhere. For Japan, we really need that next level of mobility. I can't invest in it. I heard from you guys that for infantry weapons, we should be dropping this because there's no next level of research for infantry weapons. So we get a little bit of money back if we drop the research there. So we just did that. Does Japan have anything like that? Yeah, Japan will get a little bit of money back for dropping the research there. Meanwhile, mobility we can't bump up. Do we have anything else maxed out that we're researching right now? It doesn't look like it. Let's see. Probably logistics we want to bump for Japan. I don't know how much we can how many chits we can put into that research. But for me, logistics when you're operating deep inside China seem like an important thing. So we'll invest 200 there. Ground attack weapons, we can get to a level 3. We don't have enough money for it, but we're almost there. Let's see here. What about diplomacy? So Syria bumped a little bit to the Axis this last turn. Japan has no chits. Italy, no chits. Germany, 1 chit. Argentina's something we can try and bump. So we'll do that. Try and get Argentina into the war. And then if we had anything, we'd go for Syria. But we don't. Alright, so I guess right now, research. Germany is advanced tanks, max researching. Mobility doesn't matter. We can't drop it, though. Infantry weapons is maxed out. Heavy bombers we don't even have any of. Wasn't there a heavy tank thing? Trying to see here. Industrial technology is just about the only thing we can invest additional money in, so we'll do that. And I don't see anything else. So with that being said, let's see what we can buy with the Germans. So purchase Germany. Mechanized is maxed out. Cavalry division, we actually have 1 coming. Tanks is maxed out. Heavy tanks are not. We can afford heavy tanks. We can afford level 2 heavy tanks. They're going to take a while. But let's buy it. Meanwhile, Italy has 333. She cannot... doesn't look like any armies can be purchased. She doesn't have any mechanized, though. Oh, wait. We can purchase armies. We just don't have any infantry weapons. Oh. Okay. We're better off with medium bombers. They at least have a level 2. We can afford one. Heavy tanks. Their heavy tanks will be better because they are... Like, they don't have a... Oh, they do have advanced tanks. The Italians have level 2 advanced tanks. Really? That's interesting. What about advanced heavy tanks? 6, 6... Let's remember these numbers. 6, 5, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6. 6, 5, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6. So actually a level 2 regular tank is better than a level 2 heavy tank. Now, a level 2 heavy tank would be better, but we don't have the money for that. So we'll do a level 2 tank for Italy. So let's see here. Italy will get that in August, so that's half a year from now. The Germans in April, at the end of April, so not next turn, but the following turn, will get a cavalry division and an armored division. And then in September, they'll get heavy tanks. Japan has a carrier coming. They have 2 carriers coming, but not till 1944. So Japan doesn't have money for either of these or this. We can raise more garrisons or anti-air or mortar torpedo boats, but I think we'll keep the money as is for Japan. Okay. So I think that's going to do it for this turn. Let's go ahead and save here. This was not a disastrous turn. In fact, in many ways, it was actually a very positive turn. Continuing the advance. Starting to shift troops west. I guess. No? Do we just want to... What's a transport call? No. I kind of want to move an advanced amphibious transport in to deal with the Americans at Soryang. But I worry that my troops will get destroyed on the way, so I think I'll leave my guys where they are for now. Alright, meanwhile, how's the British national morale look after the fall of Singapore? MPPs, the British lost way more than they gained in income. The British income's falling pretty precariously. National morale's down to 71. The Soviets are at 74. It'll probably drop with the fall of Moscow. The Chinese are down at 52. The Italians are at 78, so the Italians are struggling a bit there. The Japanese are at 102, and the Germans are at 107, so they're doing well. Canadians are okay. The Poles are, well, they're occupied. The Americans are doing okay. The French are doing okay. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Looks like the Russians aren't spending much on research. Probably don't have a ton of money to spend on research. They're getting... I don't know if this is like per turn, and if it's outside of income, if they're really getting 180 per turn. But yeah, anyway. All right, guys, that's enough of me rambling for now. I hope you enjoyed the video as always, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching. I will say look in the next couple of days for another episode of War in the Pacific. I got my next turn from XTRG. I would also say look for a video of Radio Commander. The developer kindly shared the alpha version of the game that has 2 of the tutorial scenarios and said that I was more than welcome to share that on the channel. So I know it's not out. It's not going to be out for a while, but it'd be kind of cool to share that. And I'm trying to figure out, I got a Waterloo demo for Waterloo 3D that, as I'm dropping my pen on the floor, for that game that I showed the other day. And I don't know if that demo is shareable or not, but I will let you know, and if it is, I'll show that as well. But those are kind of some of the things to look forward to on the channel in the coming days. Until then, however, this is the Historical Gamer saying, as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.